One of the more interesting parts of American culture was the field between the Hatfields and the McCoys, especially during the Civil War over whatever it was. But what if we were to add mythology to it and we were to take it into a new, interesting horror take? Very specifically, Pumpkinhead for Blood Feud. Although the blood feud between the two have been raging for decades, it's about to come to a grisly end when Jody Hatfield falls in love with Ricky McCoy. Her two brothers' attempts to break their engagement leads to the accidental death of Ricky's kid sister instead. Ignoring the ghostly warnings of Ed Harley himself, Lance Henriksen, also in Alien vs. Predator, Ricky calls upon Pumpkinhead, the legendary demon of vengeance, to avenge his kin by wiping out the Hatfields for good. As the carnage commences and Pumpkinhead slaughters any and all who get in his way, one thing remains certain. If Hatfield's ever to marry McCoy, it'll be over their dead bodies. This is probably the most entertaining sequel. And, yeah, since the original. Number 2 is cliche. When I say it was trope-ridden, yeah, it was fine. Number 3 was a piece of blue whale excrement. Probably one of the worst I've ever seen. Number 4, a fine conclusion. Let me explain. Here, we don't have stuff that just runs on and on and on, but we have what was popular at the time with a bunch of people in plaid shirts, I guess, and the t-shirts with beers and going around hooting and hollering and causing mayhem and destruction, stuff like that. But at the same time, the plot is so unbelievable that you gotta like it. You just gotta like it. And like I say, don't blame the actors or actresses. They're working with some material that is so cartoonish, I guess is the word, that it's actually great. It's like, instead of them feuding, let's have them feud over a car that was absconded and run over someone's legs and then have it hidden for 40 years. What? So then there is a wheelchair-bound uncle or whatever who's there. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, obviously the girl goes out with the boy, so we get a Romeo and Juliet aspect approach. This just gets more and more interesting. You know, as they're out there at makeout point deep in the woods, lo and behold, two brothers or whatever come out, eliminate the sister, and what happens from there is a tale of taking revenge too far, just like all the other ones. And I don't know. Here, I think it just works well. Let's just throw a whole bunch of stuff into a blender and see what works. Yeah, definitely some of the standout scenes are when the kid sister gets krilled, and we actually get some more screen time with Lady Haggis. Yes, I like her. They gave her more screen time to talk about how that Pumpkinhead can not kill because he can sense kindness, I guess, which I'm just like, what? I don't know. The makeup here looks better on her. Look gives her more of an authentic, creepy feel, you know, with disheveled hair, lines in the face. It feels more haunting in a way, but in a good way. So the actress Lynn, whatever her name is, does actually a good job, surprisingly, to portray the character compared to in the first 3, you know. So I don't know, it just worked for me. To see them unite, to see them all huddled together, yelling stereotypically like a bunch of, I don't want to say rednecks, but stereotypical horror movie rednecks. Let's be clear with that. This is obviously over the top, cartoonish, okay? So, you know, they put their differences aside when the car that's been hidden for 40 years is fine and is driven up. And you said we have to bury the hatchet in order to put a hatchet inside Pumpkinhead, which at this point I was like, okay then. But a lot of them get eliminated in stereotypical fashion. So this movie is stereotypical, but at the same time, I would say entertaining enough that where you could watch it. You know, obviously this is made for the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's obviously low budget. I mean, they're in the same house. Even the fire that's used is cheap, but I don't know. I think the performances here are alright, especially with the person playing. Um, yeah, Jodie Hatfield. It's actually alright. You know, when she goes into a burning house, I don't know. It just works to make this passable fun. But yeah, the Romeo and Juliet aspect, that was just so weird. Combined with the Hatfields and the McCoys. They finally ended their truce in 2003, the real family. You know, now they have like more playful stuff like tug of war and things like that. So I don't know, just interesting to see that just such a unique blend that just somehow works for exactly what it is. A good fun time, decent performances, and feels like the proper end for Ed Harley and everything else. So yeah, I actually do recommend you watch Pumpkinhead for Blood Feud.